Hi there, and welcome back to the HQ. Today, we are going to be reacting to The Boys Comic Was Kinda Terrible by PointlessHub. Now, I know a little bit about The Boys. I've never actually watched it. I've never watched it, and I've never read the comic. But I know I've seen Twitter. I have Twitter, in fact. If you didn't know that, follow me, PackRatVT. I'm on Twitter. But yeah, I have heard that there are differences in the show and the comic, and I'm interested in seeing if this touches on that, because this seems to talk about the comic being bad, and the show typically I've seen gets pretty good praise. So I'm interested in seeing just how bad this comic is. Because if PointlessHub says it's bad, then, and knowing his taste in movies, like, I see all those videos about Roland Emmerich movies that I'll have to watch eventually. So let's jump into this and see just how bad the Boys comic really is.
Superheroes are oversaturated. What a bold claim, I know. It's such a
very bold
to make
so
online
bold
that I apologize.
It's so bold to talk about the movie industry that has single-handedly transformed to only fit the mold of superhero movies. Like, every movie has to be a superhero movie these days to make it in the box office. It has to have that Marvel energy of like action with goofy comedy bits mixed in. It's like the one thing I don't like about, because granted, I love all three of the Sonic movies. I'm a shill for those movies, but the problem I have is like they're they feel like Marvel. They feel like Marvel if Sonic. So like, I'm not saying they're bad movies, but it's like, take some risks. Do something a little different from what Disney's been doing for the past 20 years, please.
Apologize for being the 15th person to tell you that opinion today. You might be annoyed by the sheer volume of media coming out over the past, oh god, has it been that long? Maybe you've tried tuning it out, but there's just no escaping it. You might have become jaded, even if you hated the MCU for years.
You can't keep getting away with it!
The MCU was fine up until, after Endgame, and then they just kind of fell off the wagon and didn't know what they wanted to do. And then they tried to do the Kang Dynasty with Kang the Conqueror, and then they beefed it. And then the actor they had hired for Kang got into some DV situations. And then they fired him, and Kevin Feige was like, no, we realized right away that Kang was a bad idea. But then why did you continue to push Kang? Why did you continue to push Kang and Loki and Quantum Mania and all of this stuff, and then you hastily pivot to Doctor Doom with no buildup? God, the MCU is so wild. I'm still gonna go see Spider-Man and Doomsday this summer, but
Even if you were Martin Scorsese burning copies of Thor 3
also,
in his
Sal,
backyard,
I would totally say,
violently assaulted a
I would totally say the Sonic movies are worth it.
Captain America outfit on Halloween, you will never hate superheroes more than Garth Ennis, the writer of the 2006 comic, The Boys.
Oh. The Boys comic isn't very good.
For any genre, once it goes on for long enough, common tropes develop and are recognized by the audience. A jump scare in a horror movie.
I hate jump scares.
The moment in a disaster film. The obligatory all is lost moment.
The all is lost moment!
And superhero films are no exception.
Almost every movie has an all is lost movement.
So successful, it established new tropes that never previously existed before.
We'd have to break anything.
MCU cliche 1, unnecessary humor.
By 1 second.
Yeah.
Funniest thing I've seen in ages.
Okay, to be fair, that is a Tony Starkism. Like, Tony Stark is like the witty, sarcastic one with the heart of gold. That's kind of his thing. It's like, it's why I think it's okay when Tony does it, but when everybody's doing it, it kind of get washed up. And it makes sense, too, for Ultron to be doing it, because he is kind of Tony's baby in this movie. It's like, so it makes sense for him to have some of, like, Tony's isms as well.
which is why an adaptation of The Boys was seen as a breath of fresh air. It poked fun at what the superhero genre had become, a satire of every soulless company that only cared about marketing and public image. Supes existed in a world of cinematic universes, and to promote the next product. But before knowing what the show would actually be, the only thing the promotions showed was this guy's girlfriend getting turned into jelly by a knockoff version of The Flash. And that was enough for me. You see, I never heard of the Boys comic before the show was announced. And before the first season even premiered, I decided to read the entire comic run from beginning to end. My takeaway after reading
my man's
through
in
all of
here
this
like he's
was that
like
it was
Zhao
alright.
studying
I
the
enjoyed
tomes.
but it was in the same brain space as Postal. It was grimy, made you feel kind of dirty reading through it, but it had entertainment value. After season 1,
I know what
outside of the
Postal
initial
is, so that's
premise,
already
characters and certain events, turns out the adaptation changed pretty much everything. The joke was on me for reading it, I guess. The original Boys comic was like it was written by an edgy teen that thought adding the most amount of graphic violence, swearing, sex, and racial slurs would make his story stand out.
Oh no.
Yeah, he's Superman, but he eats babies.
Excuse me? Excuse me? We're just gonna walk past that? We're just gonna walk right past that. Okay, I guess we're moving on.
You know when book readers have their favorite novel adapted and then swear until their dying breath that the book was better than the adaptation? This is the exact opposite of that. The show makes small but necessary changes that, had they not otherwise, it would be far lesser for it. Now, is the show always perfect? No.
No show
Sometimes
is.
it's a bit on the nose with its satire, but I truly believe, no matter where you sit on the aisle,
very subtle,
or
I'm sure.
what your views on the show's politics are, this show at least has something to say. Something that the comic tried
superhero
to do,
merch
sort of, but
and
then
a
gave
world
up
with
halfway
superheroes.
through. The show takes seeds that were planted and lets them grow, leading to a story that isn't simply for shock value. Think of this as an interesting lesson in writing.
Edge for the sake of edge. Oh,
Garth Ennis is a
of course, edge for the sake of edge, and then we got the Shadow the Hedgehog music going.
comic
Of course.
writer most famous for writing Preacher, and that
The fact
Punisher
that I can
one-off where he kills literally everyone. It's a pretty secret that Ennis hates superheroes.
He
And I'm
wrote
not just
Punisher
saying what
kills the
superheroes
Marvel
became
Universe.
or superhero media.
Like brunch. Like, what is brunch?
The very notion of them.
Like, I could understand hating specific superhero media, but why does hate the whole genre? That's just kind of petty. Also, it's funny, I have Sonictism whenever it comes to the Sonic music. I can just spot it immediately. Like, I can immediately spot Sonic music from a mile away.
He believes
it
they
just
have
tickles
done
my ear
nothing
in a
but
certain
sully
way.
the medium of comics and make them only for kids. Which, I mean, is he wrong? He likes Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman, and then that's it. Everything else, he despises, especially Captain America. Oh, don't get him started on that old Cap. He's kind of the original hater of cape shit, which, while respectable, that hatred goes incredibly far. Goes farther than just making jokes about MCU fans. The way The Boys is written is almost like a manifesto against the very idea of costume suits.
This seems like it's going to be wild.
A similar formula. The boys come across a superhero who is a loose parody of a pre-existing character.
Okay.
This soup, though, has some terrible flaw, and usually it's just the same flaw. This hero is Martian Manhunter, but he's a degenerate.
My man getting the freak on. Holy shit. God. Royalty-free Martian Manhunter out here with the freak off. He got that Diddy energy. Jesus Christ.
This character is Iron Man, but he's a pervert.
Oh,
look,
of course.
It's the X-Men, but Professor X actually diddles kids.
Oh! Oh, no. Oh, God, no. Oh, my goodness. Oh. Same.
There is no deconstruction of the trope like with Watchmen,
Holy
or a clever
shit.
parody like One Punch Man. It's
Yeah,
pure
that's
straight
just,
up hatred. Like you can imagine Garth
Oh.
writing every possible scenario for how a
Yeah,
suit could
this
get
is-
massacred by his edgy guys dressed in trench coats or the military. In the
Jesus
show,
Christ,
superheroes
dog.
are allegories for the egotistical celebrity. They will do anything for their own image. It's a game that you play for fame and fortune, and that reflects in every aspect of how these characters think. Drives them to be selfish, do terrible
Yeah, so
things,
basically,
but
if
not to an
superheroes were
unrealistic
celebrities,
degree.
like,
You can
basically,
see parallels
it's like-
to real-world shitty behavior.
Yeah.
The thing is, most of that complexity
Oh.
doesn't exist in the comics. Superheroes in this world that Ennis wrote
I don't-
are
got-
irredeemable, cartoonish psychopaths.
Why do all of these faces look straight out of Attack on Titan? Like, bruh.
There is no complexity to them. Their
What the
mentality is less
fuck?
based on celebrity
What the
status
fuck?
and the corrupting influence of fame, and more like the mentality of the gang from Clockwork Orange. Any costume suit, in some way, is a sexual deviant, a racist, or a violent psycho. Now, if I could, I would show you
Why?
a lot of examples.
Why
but
is
I'm
it
trying
like
to not
that?
get demonetized and banned
Ugh.
off the site.
Yeah.
All of these horrendous
Good
things
idea.
my eyes had to witness never build onto something. Instead, it just feels like a hit piece on fictional people that don't actually exist. Sometimes
Genuinely,
simply the
wha-
message in The Boys
How
is
much
this hero
hatred-
is gay. These heroes are ghetto. The Boys collect more
How much
often
hatred
than
do you
anything
have to
else,
have?
pictures of sex acts that they can blackmail people with. Now, sometimes there are superheroes that happen to be good people, and if they are, they're portrayed as pathetic jokes who literally could not hurt a
Jesus
fly.
Christ.
Maybe their only quality
like-
is that they look stupid, or sometimes as
So it's like all the competent superheroes are absolute bastards, and it's like all the heroes that are good meaning are totally useless. Very cool, Garth. Very cool, Garth. Very cool. Also, hi, Omniadachi. Welcome to the chat.
the comic goes on, there's no reason at all. They're just a soup, and they're fodder for the boys to defend themselves against. Even when they aren't supposed to kill soups, and Huey accidentally punches right through a guy, it turns out to be alright, and Huey shouldn't feel bad because the guy had a hamster shoved up his ass the entire time.
Excuse me? Excuse me. Excuse me. What is this Mr. Slave shit? This comic is just a hit piece on, like, comic book superheroes in general, dude. This is insane.
Lemmy wings, lemmy wings.
The original Boys
No,
comic
fuck off.
is that guy that
No, fuck off. I did not pause it. Gap. And then you hit me with the Lemmy Wings clip. You did not just fucking do that. You did not just fucking do that.
stumbles onto the stage at open mic night, says they're a master of satire, and then says the N-word. Now, just because a story
So
has
goddamn
edgy
real.
elements, that doesn't make it necessarily lesser. The show has messed up stuff all the time. It's just it contributes to the bigger story. Showcases how far a character has gone or what the stakes are. The comic showcases fucked up stuff just for shock value. And as a result,
Why?
it makes the story less about our protagonists facing off against a corporation and its celebrity heroes, and more our protagonists just going around taking out crazy cartoon people. As you see, despite the show mainly being around the boys in Vought, that is not
this
what the
comic
portray at all. Probably
this show,
said
like
this at the start, but spoilers for all of the comics and all 3 seasons.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't until season 3 when I realized what truly made the adaptation so different than the comics. And it was the inclusion of temporary Compound V. You see, the Vought Labs cooked up some green temporary V that makes you a soup for 24 hours. Huey and Butcher both start taking V as a way to even that power dynamic, while MM and Frenchie believes this crosses a line and will make them hypocrites. This dilemma never exists in the comics. Despite hating soups, Butcher injects Huey with V without his consent, and then laughs at him for getting mad. Through experiments, Butcher is actually superpowered at the start of the story. All of the boys are. This ethical question...
So they hate soups, but they have superpowers. So then... Okay.
Of whether using Compound V is hypocritical or not just never comes up. And considering how many soups they do kill, if they didn't have V, they probably would just die. But what this does is it removes an essential element that makes the show work so well. Tension.
Yeah,
in the show,
like,
whenever the boys run into a superhero, it feels like they're up against a legitimate threat.
It's like
having a
if
bomb
they're
in
just
the middle
all
of the room.
super powered,
These are
that
people who
tension's
can do
just
whatever
gone.
they want without repercussions, and to defeat them, regular people have to use their wits and skills to take them down. The reason why the
that's
boys
an interesting
hate soup
concept.
so much is reinforced with every scene. But in the comics, since the boys use V, that threat is gone. In fact, because most of the time the boys are just running into low-level idiots, Butcher and his gang often have the advantage. So the story is reduced to edgy characters dressed in trench coats just brutally tearing apart a bunch of costumed dorks. It's like Billy Butcher is just Ennis's cool OC that only exists to act out violent revenge fantasies against fictional people.
I'm genuinely stunned here. I'm getting stun locked at this. It's like, I'm just sitting here watching this. I'm like, so this whole thing, it's like, it's just an edgy fanfic of like running around just killing like legally distinct Marvel and DC characters with your edgy like school shooter squad, instead of like what the show did and have them be like crafty and unique and engineering out these ways to fight against these superheroes without having superpowers. And it's like, bruh, how do you fumble a concept this bad?
When talking about characters, I don't want to make this a list of differences between the show and comics. If you want a true comparison, watch Mojo. Both of these have gone through so many differences, we'd be here all day if I listed them out. Because of the path the show has gone down, it has drastically altered these characters. It's put them in situations and challenges that have shaped them over 3 seasons, which can't really be said about the comics. Starlight and Huey, for most of the comic, don't even know what the other is doing, so many of their interactions are just Simon Pegg with a blonde naked chick. The show was able to deepen pretty shallow pools, and nowhere is that better shown than Homelander.
Yeah. The show improves Homelander. How does it do that? How bad is he in the comic?
Of Homelander is one of the best villains in a show I've seen. From a test tube, born to be a corporate product, Homelander is one big ball of narcissism, self-consciousness, and psychopathy. One aspect of the show's plot is just
super psychopath. Definitely not a
now, while that's
not good.
Kind of there in the comics, Homelander isn't really anything particularly special. He's done terrible things, he's forced himself onto women, leading to the death of Butcher's wife, but the comics have shown that superheroes do that all the time. In fact, Homelander forced himself onto Starlight along with Black Noir and A-Train. And this right here is a good example of my point.
Bruh, this is just... like, this is just, like, evil clownery here. What the fuck, dog?
In the show, it's more of a message about workplace assault. And in the comics, it's just... oh, that critical element of his character isn't really special in the comics. We see characters that are depicted in a far worse light than Homelander. Now, as you might remember, I did say that Homelander ate a baby, which is, yes, incredibly bad, but in the comics,
what is that
these
about?
Are simply shown in pictures. In fact, these pictures are something that Homelander doesn't remember doing. He talks to himself in a mirror, and then suddenly has a realization that he can do anything. In the show, when he does something bad, he knows he's doing it, and he doesn't care. But the comic Homelander actually does. He's disturbed by these pictures. Homelander just kind of is like, I'm crazy now, and decides to lead a superhero revolution.
I guess I'm goofy now.
The worst part of the boys' comic, the ending.
Okay, I guess we're jumping right to the ending.
Soups take over the White House, because pretty much every hero had already been thinking about the same thing. Homelander
All
kills
of them
the
just
president,
thinking
and
of it.
That's that. Except there's a plot twist. It turns out Homelander didn't actually eat a child or did any of those horrible things. It was Black Noir the entire time.
Uh-huh. So there's shit. Is Black Noir like the Bizarro? He's like a clone?
Who could have guessed that Noir was actually a clone of Homelander?
I guess he is.
Noir was a clone whole time. The
Okay.
complex deterioration of a spoiled soup with parental issues that we see in the TV show. Yeah, that doesn't happen. At the end of the day, Butcher sums it all up as Homelander was just tricked into becoming a psychopath.
It means you turned into a fucking psychopath by mistake. How do you turn into a psychopath by mistake?
Which is just the worst twist. It undermines everything that made Homelander even remotely worse than other soups. Most
Like,
of the
how do
bad
you write a
things
twist
we
like
thought
that?
Homelander did, well, Black Noir did it. At the
How
end
do you
of
write
the
a
day,
twist like
he's
that?
Simply
That's-
a big dummy that
Dog.
got bamboozled into going cuckoo.
It was a prank. We were just fooling.
All
It was a
Homelander
prank,
really
bro.
did was simply suggest to a bunch of other crazy people that they should take over the country. Don't
God,
worry, this
dog.
plotline is resolved in like 5 minutes because it turns out the military had anti-soup missiles the entire time. So this really wasn't even that
Anti-soup
big of a deal.
missiles.
They all just die like idiots. That was it.
They all
That was
just
the
get
reason why
blown
Garth
up.
Ennis wanted the soups to join Homelander's revolution. It's so they could get absolutely decimated by the real cool guys. The military-industrial complex.
Oh,
and
of
with
course.
everything wrapped up
Of
in a nice
course.
neat bow, Butcher just decides to kill all the boys. Wait, what? Garth Ennis hates superheroes, so he wrote a power fantasy about people not dressed in costumes, ripping apart nerds with their bare hands. To justify
Jesus
this,
Christ.
every superhero is an absolute lunatic. A narrative that
Genuinely.
explores the idea
This-
of superheroes like that Flash game where you blow up your buddy. The message is
Oh, I
just
love that Flash game
superheroes
so
are
much.
cringe, which might not be untrue in these times of MCU fatigue. But at the end of the day, the boys teaches us a valuable lesson.
How did this comic
to
get an
remember that
Amazon
too much
TV
hate
show?
towards something can become
Like,
just as annoying and intolerable
honestly.
as the thing it's making fun of.
You know, the fact that this comic got an Amazon TV show genuinely baffles me. It's like they must have just seen the concept and they're just like, oh, yeah, this is a cool concept. What's the comic do? Yeah, let's ignore like 90% of that and just do our own thing. Yeah, that's valid. Like sometimes I don't like it when licensed shows do that, but when in this case, I'll give it a pass. Maybe I should watch The Boys at some point. I've never watched it, and knowing to avoid the comic is definitely something I should definitely do. But yeah, maybe I'll watch it. I don't know. Maybe I'll watch it in my own time. Who knows? I'm not sure how I would edit around that for YouTube. But yeah, let me know what you think about The Boys comics in the comments down below. What wacky things do you know about the comic? What other bad comics what other comics were worse than their adaptations? Let me know in the comics down below. In the comments down below, not the comics down below. Oh boy. But of course, do not forget to hit like on this video and subscribe to the channel and ding that bell so you know when I upload, and it helps me out in the algorithm. And as always, I will see you next time at the HQ. Bye-bye.